The room was doing what rooms like that always do, breathing together, passing plates, overlapping conversations that pretended not to notice the sharp edges underneath. Someone laughed too loudly near the sink. A chair scraped. The TV was on, muted, because no one actually watched it. It was just there to fill the places silence might wander into and make trouble. I was standing near the counter with a paper napkin folded too many times, listening to my aunt describe a neighbor's renovation. I wasn't part of it. I rarely was. Being present without being addressed had become a kind of skill, like holding your breath without making it obvious. My mother leaned in. She didn't lower her voice enough. Sometimes, she said, smiling at no one. I wish you'd never been born. She said it like an aside. Like a truth you confess to the air because the air can't repeat it. I noticed first how the sound didn't stop the room. No pause, no intake of breath. The refrigerator hummed. Someone clinked a glass against the counter. The napkin in my hands went soft. I looked at my father. He was close enough to hear. He was always close enough. He adjusted his stance, glanced at the TV, and did not look at me. It wasn't anger. It wasn't fear. It was an administrative decision. This does not require action. Something in me finished a sentence it had been writing for years. I smiled. It surprised even me how easy it was. Wish granted, I said. Not loud. Not sharp, just clear enough to be mistaken for humor. My mother blinked, confused, already turning back to her sister. Someone chuckled, uncertain, the way people do when they think they've missed a joke but don't want to be rude. I put the napkin down. I didn't grab my coat. I didn't announce anything. I walked out through the side door because it was closer. The cold outside felt procedural. The sky was doing what it always did. My hands shook when I reached my car, but my mind was oddly exact. I noticed the crack in the windshield I kept forgetting to fix. I noticed the radio was still tuned to a station I didn't like because someone else preferred it. I drove without urgency. I obeyed the lights. I parked where I usually did and sat for a minute, listening to my own breath. It sounded unfamiliar, like I was hearing it through a wall. 30 minutes passed. At first, nothing happened. No vibration. No sound. I told myself this was also information. Then my phone buzzed. Where did you go? Another. Are you okay? Then the group chat woke up like a kicked hive. What's going on? Call me. This isn't funny. Your mother is upset. Please respond. I watched the messages stack without opening them. The number climbed faster than I expected. Calls came in waves, declined automatically because my hands were shaking again. Worse this time, adrenaline finally catching up. I set the phone face down on the passenger seat and stared at the dashboard. I wasn't trying to punish anyone. That surprised me too. I just didn't want to explain. Not yet. Not in the language they preferred. The first voicemail was my father. His voice was calm, careful. Let's not make this bigger than it needs to be, he said, like he was smoothing a crease in paper. The second was my mother, sharp-edged and breathless. You embarrassed me, she said. People heard. By the 10th missed call, the tone changed. Please answer. We're worried. Someone said you left without your things. At 42 minutes past the door closing, my phone rang again. This time, the number wasn't in the group chat. It was unfamiliar, local. I answered because the quiet inside me had settled into something steadier. This is Marisol from the clinic, the voice said. Your sister contacted us. She was concerned. I closed my eyes. The intervention was sudden but clean, like a door opening to a hallway I hadn't known existed. I'm safe, I said. I'm glad, she replied, and waited. Not the way family waits, with an agenda humming underneath, but the way professionals do, leaving space that doesn't rush you into filling it. She asked neutral questions. Where I was. If I had somewhere to stay. If I wanted to talk about what prompted me to leave. I told her bellish. I didn't defend myself. I described the words as they were said. I described the non-look. I described leaving. There was a pause, the sound of typing. Documentation, the quietest kind of authority. Thank you for telling me, she said. I'm going to note this. We can set up a time to talk more, if you want. And I want you to know, you don't have to engage with anyone until you're ready. When the call ended, my phone buzzed again. The group chat had changed shape. We didn't realize it was that serious. Your mom didn't mean it like that. Can we please talk to you? I didn't respond. Later, my sister texted separately. They're panicking. They called the clinic. I'm sorry. I typed, then erased, then typed again. I know. That night alone, the grief finally arrived. Not loud, just heavy. The version of my parents I had been quietly hoping would appear someday, the ones who would notice, who would choose me without calculation, sat down beside me and went very still. I let that be sad. I didn't argue with it. The next morning, I sent one message to the group chat. It was short. I'm safe. I'm taking space. I'm open to mediated conversations only. Please don't contact me otherwise. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't an explanation. It was a boundary written in operational language, the kind that doesn't invite debate. The calls stopped. Weeks passed. The house where it happened continued without me. Holidays rearranged themselves. Stories were told with careful edits. I heard about it secondhand, and it didn't sting the way I expected. Distance, it turns out, changes the acoustics. When I did sit down with a mediator months later, the room was smaller than that first one, quieter. My mother cried. My father nodded at appropriate intervals. I spoke plainly. No speeches. No scorekeeping. I didn't get an apology that fixed everything. I didn't get a moment where everyone clapped or finally understood me the way I had always wanted. What I got was something steadier. I left that room with my dignity intact, which felt different than victory, but better suited me. The power between us had shifted, not loudly, not dramatically, but undeniably. I could feel it in how carefully they chose their words now. In how silence, when I used it, stayed where I put it. Sometimes I still hear the whisper in my head. Sometimes I still feel the old reflex to make myself smaller so the room can stay comfortable. But I remember the smile. The walk. The 30 minutes where nothing happened and everything changed. And I remember that choosing myself didn't fix my family. It fixed my position in it.